Hey, thanks for coming out on such a rainy night. Appreciate you all making the effort. Here to talk to Tim Howard and Emma and Giannis, who made goal one. Tim appears in it. It's a great game, so we're going to talk about that. Talk to Tim, answer some questions, talk a little bit about the game, and let's get started. There we go. All right, well, thanks for coming out, guys. This is Emma to my left, Giannis. They're the developers of Goal One, and then Tim Howard, who you all know. Straight in off a flight. How's the flight, Tim?
Easy, not too bad from Memphis. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, a little vacation after the long season?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, not much of one, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, the beard's getting good. How long have you been growing that for?
I've been contemplating cutting it off, so we'll see. That's what my kids say, so we'll see.
Excellent. Well, I think we're going to get Emma and Giannis to tell us a little bit about Goal One, and then we'll go into some Q&A with Tim. I'll talk to him a little bit, and then we'll get your questions as well.
Right. Thanks, Noah. So Giannis and I are here with Area Games, a global game company with headquarters in Berlin, Germany, which is known as the tech startup capital of Europe. And Goal One, our game is a soccer management simulator, which means that at the beginning you're given a team of players, and more importantly, you are given the ultimate goal. You are given a challenge to compete and hopefully win in multiple cups against thousands or hundreds of thousands people all over the world, as well as your friends. So basically, it's like fantasy football. Only we empower you to influence result of each and every match, and you can train your players. You can transfer the ones that you don't really like, as well as you can you can scout the hopefully next big dream. And just to give you a little of background, Germany is absolutely crazy about football, as we call soccer back in Europe. It was absolutely amazing to be in Berlin for the World Cup, which was June last year, because everywhere is covered in TV screens. I think the same is true for UK, but generally you walk in the street, every few steps there is a TV screen. In our office we had several TVs because the management realized that people need to make a pause in their work day for an hour or two, watch a game. And in Berlin there is even a stadium where they encouraged people to bring their own sofas onto the stadium so that you could watch the game, enjoy the fresh air on the comfort of your own couch in the middle of the football pitch. So that's incredible. And you can understand that it was absolutely crazy when we released Goal One, the German version, on the first day of that World Cup, and it was just fantastic. We had a lot of, we had support of the German national team for the German game, but we had such incredible support from the people who would download and play the game that very quickly we got to 1% of the German population having the game on their phones and playing. That was absolutely incredible. And we were thinking how we can share this and how we can bring this to the US, because in America, soccer is gaining more and more popularity, and with a stunning performance of the US national team and this gentleman over here. This was the easiest decision for us, and now Giannis will spend a few minutes telling you the specifics of how this deal came together.
Thanks, Emma. First of all, it's amazing how many people made it out today. Thanks all for coming. Who's here from New York City? That's cool. Who's here from outside the New York State? Wow, made a long way. Thanks for coming. Thanks to Apple for having us, and last but not least, thanks to Tim for making it out here. Thank you very much. Like Emma said, Tim was the ideal candidate to become the testimonial for our game, for the North American market.
Was it difficult to get to the final point?
It was, yeah. Like you need you need to know that we didn't have any experience with testimonials. It was like Goal 1 was the very first game that we ever had where we had a real testimonial. The German national team for the German market, and then Tim for the US and North American market. And so we had no experience, you know, how to contact an international star like Tim.
Wasn't easy.
I was checking online for his cell phone number, but
I'm sure you did that too as well.
But well, eventually we got in touch and signed a deal over Christmas. Was a nice Christmas present for me. Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
And we started out early this year. I think it was in early February.
yeah.
Yeah, in Manchester, with the production of the video production and well, photos and so on for the game. In the game, we're using mainly illustrations, but obviously for the promotion of the game and so on. So we didn't want to lose any time. I asked a friend of mine who's a producer to quickly get a team together and fly over to Manchester. We had a very cool production day with Tim. I don't know if you can show any of the backstage footage from there. Yeah, there you can see that. Yeah, someone took charge.
Mainly you.
Yeah, that's the whole production team. And we are also very satisfied with the outcome. Do you guys want to see the final TV spot? All right. Action, please. Thank you. You should actually consider a career in Hollywood.
Possibly. A couple of years.
I'm not even kidding. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with you know, doing TV production and that kind of stuff, and how many times you usually have to you know, record an individual scene. But with that guy, we didn't have to make a single scene twice. Trust me.
The animations look nice. What do you think of the final product?
Amazing. You know, that production day that we had in Manchester, it all came together. There was so much going on. It was hard to kind of foresee what it would look like, and then when I was sent the you know, the final spots, I was blown away.
What are some of the things you had to do during that day?
Well, we did a bunch of still photos, which are the easy part. You know, and then when you record the action and you having to repeat lines and make sure you get them right, it's you know, sometimes it could be a bit daunting when acting is not your day job, if you can imagine. But we got through it, and everyone there was so receptive and really encouraging. So I enjoyed the day. It was a long day, but I enjoyed it.
I guess the good thing about soccer is you only get one shot at it. So if you screw it up, you just move on. You don't have to keep
That's
going
true.
back and forth.
That's true.
How about what kind of other technology do you use in training? Do you use any apps or anything like that when you're working?
Well, there's you know, before the World Cup, actually, we used a sleep monitor that our fitness trainers had for us that measured our sleep and our sleep patterns, and you know, that spoke to how much energy we could have the next day for training. At Everton, we're using heart rate monitors, which I think a lot of clubs are using nowadays, just to measure how many kilometers or miles that the players are running every day. I don't wear one, so I don't run too much, which is easy for me. But yeah, I mean, the technology is nice to have, because I think anytime you're at the highest level, you have to try and gain an edge. Everybody's good, everybody's talented. So you try in little ways to gain a little bit of an advantage, and that's one of them.
Sure. So you don't want the midfielders who are running 10 kilometers a game to know that you're just kind of out there chilling out.
They see my hard work. It's okay.
Definitely. How about video games? Did you play any growing up?
You know, I played. I was back in the early '90s when all the video game consoles were coming out. So, you know, Mario Brothers and Mario Kart, and you know, my friends and I would have Mario Kart competitions, and then as I would go to play with the national teams, and we'd have these long road trips, there'd be, you know, Mario Kart tournaments and competitions. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Who's the best game player on the U.S. team now?
On the U.S. team, I think probably Josie Altidore would claim the top spot, but I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate.
Now, is he actually the best player, or would he just claim the top spot?
Yeah. He's up there, but he's close.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of the U.S. team, they're playing on Friday. You going to be watching the game?
Of course. Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to get back. It's been great, the break that I've had this year. But of course, I still have a ton of friends on the team, and I want them to do well. So they've got some big games coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do, and of course, rooting them on.
Yeah, it's 2 tough games, Netherlands, Germany.
Yeah, and that's been Jurgen Klinsmann's motto recently, since he's taken over, is he doesn't want to play easy games. He doesn't want to just win games. He wants to put the players, young players, in tough environments and make them have to grow and fight for everything, and those games are no different.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a year since the World Cup, almost, which is pretty incredible to think about. How is the year you sort of vaulted to this new level of stardom? You're in a game, and
Sure.
are you still more recognized than you were before? You think?
Well, again, with the beard, I think I'm more recognized. If it comes off, it might be a little bit easier for me. Last year's been great. I think more than anything, from a personal recognition standpoint, I've played. I went to Manchester United at age 23, and living in the UK under that spotlight, under that microscope is so difficult. And so I think I had good training for that. What was such a surprise to all the US players was when we returned back home after the World Cup, how many people paid attention to what we were doing down in Brazil. I had been to 3 World Cups, and never, not Germany and not South Africa, was it ever like it was in Brazil. The people back home who paid attention to it, who watched the games, who took off work. I think the U.S. sold the most tickets of any traveling support going down to Brazil. So, for U.S. soccer, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Do you still feel that love a year out?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been it's only grown since then.
Yeah. You can't hide anymore, huh?
No. Like I said, it just comes off maybe so.
And the Women's World Cup starts
Yeah.
in a few days. How do you feel about the U.S. team there?
I'm excited for them. I know a few of the women on the team, and they're in a difficult position because they're the best, or should be one of the best teams. And so we go into a World Cup and we're the underdogs, and no one expects anything of us. So we have to just come out fighting, and hopefully that we punch above our weight and make it to the next round and surprise some people. The U.S. women, they're expected to win the World Cup. They're expected to get to the final, and that's very, very tough because every game, being the underdog is a little bit easier. And when you're on top and people are gunning for you, there's a lot of pressure. So I don't envy them, but I'm excited to watch them perform and see what they do.
Yeah, it should be good. It's nice. It's in Canada too. It's nice and close.
It's close, yes.
Are you going to get to any of the games?
I don't think I will. I've got a few other things I need to do, like vacation, and you can imagine I've had a long year. So, but I'll be watching the games without doubt.
Yeah, it is a long season, as you mentioned. What's the first thing you look forward to doing when it's all done?
Going to the beach. I live in Manchester, England, and it rains a lot. It rains every day, really. And for those of you who've been to the UK, and it's a long, hard slug. You play your game on Saturday, and then it's literally do it all over again. It's Groundhog Day for 11 months, and so that becomes monotonous. And I look forward to getting home and getting some good weather and just kind of getting away. As I said, Manchester is, for me and all the other football players, is a fishbowl. You can't go anywhere without being recognized or someone saying something nice, or more often something really bad. If it's a rival supporter. So it's nice to get away, just get back to America and get back home.
Yeah, you hanging out in Memphis for some of the time?
Yeah, Memphis for a little bit. I'll be in Florida. I'm here in New York for the week, and then out to California. Yeah.
Sounds pretty good. Not bad. All right, so you and Hope Stoll are in a penalty kick competition.
Okay.
Who wins?
Me, of course. I always bet on myself, so no knock against her, because I think she's brilliant. She's the best in the world.
Yeah. I was thinking you'd say her. That's good. I like the confidence. That's very cool. Big day in international soccer. Sepp Blatter stepped away. I know you're on a plane. I don't know. There we go. It's the biggest ovation of the day. I don't know what that says about it. How closely had you been following the FIFA stuff?
Well, I'm obviously involved in it, because of what I do. So I try and do as much homework as I can. And I think anyone who does their research would still come up feeling like there's still questions unanswered. And that's kind of where I am. I see what's going on. I see the reports, and I myself wonder, who's right and who's wrong. And so I pay attention to it as a spectator more than anything, or as a casual observer. But yeah, it's certainly shocking news, not only because he's been in charge for 4 terms, he gets elected for a 5th term, and then a few days later resigns. So I guess when the dust settles, we'll hopefully find out what the truth is. But I've said for a long time, in regards to FIFA, the truth needs to come out. People need to be revealed, and we need to find out, what's really going on.
I saw some tweets out there this afternoon that were suggesting Landon Donovan for FIFA president. You think he'd be good? He's not doing a whole lot right now.
I'd vote for him. I don't know if he wants to get off the beach in L.A. I don't blame him, but Zurich's nice this time of year.
I know you just finished this season, but how are you feeling about next season?
Excited. This season was a rough season for us. It was tough. I thought although we finished right in the middle of the table, which I think most teams would take. We have expectations at Everton that are much higher than that, and so we probably feel like we didn't get to where we wanted to be, and so next year there's more pressure on us. But I think we'll make some signings, and in the Premier League, players come and go, and at least the structure of the team is solid. Our senior players are locked up into long-term contracts. Our management team is strong. We've got a great owner who will go out and spend the money if he can, and so. We always believe in ourselves, and particularly when it comes to the big games, we feel like we can do a job. So hopefully next season will be much better. We're always looking to get into that 4th or 5th spot and push for Champions League. This year it didn't happen for us, but that doesn't mean that'll change next year.
Sure. How are you feeling personally about where you are?
Good. I'm 36, and I keep saying year by year I feel stronger than I ever have. My body feels good. The hunger that I have to play the game, is burning, and I'm more excited than ever, and obviously this year with the national team that I've taken off, nothing inspires me more than to get back out there in September. I'm really excited to be back with the team and, earn my way back in. So this year coming up, I think will be exciting for me.
Have you talked to Klinsmann about how that's all going to play out?
Yeah, we talked at length last summer, about a year ago, about what this year would look like, and based on my decision. And then periodically throughout the year, we've just had casual conversations. He's a very easy guy to talk to. And so we'll just either text each other, pick up the phone randomly, wish each other luck in different games. And so, yeah, we've spoken. He knows my intent, and certainly, everything looks good for me to return in September.
Nice. He has that wonderful mix of German and California. You wouldn't think it would work, but it does.
It's the oddest mix I've ever seen, I must admit. But he somehow unifies it, makes it work.
Yeah. With Brad Friedel retiring, you're sort of the elder statesman of the Americans in the EPL. Yeah. Not that you're old or anything like that.
I am, but yeah.
Do you feel like there's some extra, being a role model or just kind of a spokesman for the Americans in Europe and in the EPL?
I've always felt like since I've been over there, any American who goes to Europe, particularly into the Premier League, which is the most watched league in the world, you have a responsibility to carry that torch for American soccer, no matter what age you are. And yeah, now that Brad's retired, and I'm probably the longest-serving player in Europe at the moment, there is a responsibility. But I also that manifests itself in different ways. When a young player like DeAndre Yedlin comes over and he signs for Tottenham last year, you just make sure you have each other's cell phone numbers and shoot a few texts, and if he needs a restaurant or he needs some place to live or he needs some sort of help just to live day to day, that's where the Americans abroad can lend a hand.
Yeah. So restaurant recommendations, that's sort of your thing.
I've got a few in London, so if you need any, let me know.
That's good. You mentioned that you and Jeff Cameron live pretty close together. Do you guys see each other often?
Yeah, we live virtually in the same town in England. They call them Village, and so I'll see him in the Village again at the local grocery store or getting a coffee or whatever. We drive opposite ways to training, and then when he goes to Stoke, I go to Everton. But I see him quite often, and we get together and have dinner and just kind of hang out. And his fiance goes to the gym where I work out, so it's a nice little community, and we get a chance to all see each other and kind of feel like we have a home away from home.
That's nice. Does he always have the gelled hair, or is that just on the field?
Right before he goes to bed, he gels it every night. It's incredible. It's always perfect.
Sure. Should we do some questions from the audience? Is that up to that time? I think we have some mics.
I'm a goalie, and sometimes I have trouble after I let a few goals in, getting my head back. Do you have any advice, like how you do that?
Yeah, I have the same trouble when a few goals go in. It's never fun. It's tough, as a young goalkeeper. In my book, I talked about when I was your age, I let a few goals and I'd start crying, and my mom would have to walk around the back of the goal and pick me up and encourage me. It's not easy. That's why being a goalkeeper is so cool, because I think it's the hardest position on the field. And when things don't go your way, it's tough. But if you want to get to the national team level, I see the shirt you're wearing. You hopefully one day want to be on the national team. When you get to the national team level, you just have to try your best to. When one goal goes in, forget about it. And try and save the next one. And we lost this year to Chelsea at Everton 6-3. And I wanted to dig a hole and jump inside and cover it up. It was terrible. I was embarrassed. But as a goalkeeper, you have to have broad shoulders and you have to keep going. Okay.
Thank you.
Are you afraid of Alex Ferguson?
It's a good question. When I went to Manchester United at 23, I was scared to death of him. Yeah. Now that I'm a bit older, no, I wouldn't be too scared anymore, especially in the locker room. Right now, when Alex Ferguson is at his meanest when it's halftime and you're losing, you've made a mistake. But now that I've gotten older, I know when I've messed up or when I've made a mistake or when I've done good. So somebody yelling at me is just kind of noise. I don't really pay too much attention to it. But yes, when I was young, when I was 23 and I played my first game, and Thierry Henry scored a free kick and I didn't have enough people on the wall and he yelled at me, I was scared. Yeah.
Thank you.
Personally, you're inspiration for me. I was a goalkeeper in college. I'm also an Evertonian.
Oh, awesome.
You've done some pretty amazing things, from setting a world record against Belgium, Confederations Cup against Spain. What was going through your head when you just jumped on top of a ball outside the box and smothering it without touching it?
It's Sunderland.
Yeah.
I got asked that question by my manager, my teammates, the referee, John O'Shea on the other team who I played. You know what? I don't really know, to be honest with you. It was instinctual, and I probably could have just taken a touch and kicked it out of play. And I got closed down, I think, by Stephen Fletcher, and it was either let him score or just jump on top of the ball. And so I just figured plan B was going to have to work, and I got away with it. But we got reminded afterwards in a referees meeting after the fact that would then be considered an indirect free kick or something. But on the day, I got away with it. So improv.
Hi, Tim. Most European stars come to the MLS towards the end of their career. You started in the MLS. Would you ever think of coming back towards the end, maybe for the Red Bulls?
Well, Red Bulls would be great. That's my former team. Look, I've got 3 years on my contract left. And Metro Stars. Wow, that's an oldie. That's an oldie. And I'm going to be finished playing football in 3 years. And so right now I'm contracted to Everton for those 3 years. It's hard to say what happens, in the next 3 years, because football is a business after all. I'm very happy where I am, but if something were to happen between two teams in those years, in the next 3 years, possibly. But once I'm done, I'm done. So 2018, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question for the developers. I had a quick question. Is it better to build an app from scratch or use these online websites that have templates, apps already to help you build the app faster?
Well, it depends what you want to achieve. If you want a really smooth operation of the app, then definitely building from scratch makes more sense. But that also takes up a lot of resources.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to say, as a massive Liverpool fan, I want to know, what's your best game at Anfield? What's your favorite game at Anfield?
Yeah, I've had a few I want to forget. So, God, that's a great question. I feel like in all the games I've played at Anfield now, there's been a few draws. I can remember a 2-2, a 1-1, and a 0-0. And probably the 0-0 as a goalkeeper. I know it's probably not that exciting for all the fans, but I remember, gosh, I'm trying to think what year it was, maybe 2006 or 2007. Alan Stubbs, who was our captain, he won man of the match. And I remember that game because it was, I kept my first or second year at Everton, I kept a clean sheet at Anfield, right in front of the Cop in the second half. So that was the most memorable to me. I'm sure you have a few memorable ones that I wouldn't appreciate, but yeah.
What's your favorite part of the game?
I would probably say the transfers. I like to buy. I always take an interest in buying and selling players, and so when I get on the app, I as best I can, if I can get some money, I try and transfer some players, and I think that's how you become better. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear back home, but I think that translates to real life. If you look at the Premier League, if you can buy players, you seem to become a better team. So I try and use that in my own philosophy as manager.
Good evening. As a high school basketball coach of Tim's back in North Brunswick in mid-1990s, I've just a couple of questions. First of all, a statement. The fellow you see in front of you right now is obviously somebody who we're very proud of and is as genuine and as real and as great a guy as you're going to find. So there's nothing fake about that man up there. So I want to let you know that. You got it, Tim. My other question is, I'm a flip phone guy. You can hook me up before I get out of here with some apps and stuff. I'm a little out of place, but I'm looking to make the next move. So thank you to the developers.
Listen.
I'm looking forward to the game. Thank you.
Coach B, it doesn't surprise me that you saw the same flip phone that you had in '97, but it's good to see you.
So I've been playing soccer since I'm 5, never went pro, but still a competitor, played in college. Do you have any tips from scoring from the backfield as a defender? I know you've done it, so.
The one time, yeah. I would say your best bet is probably set pieces, is to get yourself up in the mix on set pieces. And, if you have a talent like Leighton Baines on my team who seems to be able to combine with his midfielders and get forward. He seems to get in scoring positions. The number one way would be to somehow get your striker off penalty kicks and then, score your penalty kick. But that's always tough. Okay.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
I was a keeper too for about 30 years, and so I love watching you. As a keeper, you're always having to look at the field, see what's happening, see how the plays are going. That's halfway to a manager. Do you have any manager aspirations?
That's my question.
It's a great question. For a long time, I never did. I think, I look at the managers that I've played for. I get to work at 9 o'clock. I get my prehab done. I go on the field for 2 hours, lift weights, get any massages or therapy I need, and I go home. And they're there for another 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, and they're going to watch games. And when Tim Howard's having a bad day, he's got to manage me. And when the next guy's having a bad day, he's got to send him home from training, or he's got to kind of coddle different players. I don't have to worry about that. As a senior player, maybe I can get my arm around a few other guys and make sure everyone's pulling in the right direction. But the manager of a team, it's all consuming. He needs to know everyone. He needs to know the lunch ladies upstairs. He needs to know the groundsman. He needs to know his goalkeeper. And I just think that's a very, very tough job. It's if we win on Saturday, I go home and I'm excited. I don't even think about the next game till Wednesday. If we lose, I'll probably sit on the couch for 24 hours, or I'll mope and I'll moan, and I'll get on with it. The manager's got to immediately figure out a way to make it better, to win next weekend, and that starts as soon as the game ends. And I think it's a very, very hard occupation. As I've gotten a little bit older, I've played for some really brilliant managers. I've played for Bob Bradley, Jurgen Klinsmann, David Moyes, Roberto Martinez, all with very, very different styles. And what's kind of given me the management bug, if I've gotten one, is the fact that there are so many really positive management styles that I've played under, that I feel like if I could gel and mix a few of these, I could win the World Cup easy. So I don't know. It's possible. I think it would have to be the right situation. I'd have to be under the right management group. Right club, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was once a man who had a beard and I shaved it, and I regret that. So
okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you.
But as a man who had a beard, I'm curious, what beard oils do you use, and what products would you recommend to regrow a beard?
That's good. I probably don't take as good a care of my beard as I probably should. You know what? I've got this generic Moroccan beard oil that I spray on there. I've got a bunch of beard companies who send me all the different ones. Some are just too oily and they get all over my pillow and I don't like it. So I keep it pretty straightforward. Yeah. A little bit of conditioner. That's the only thing I can condition. You know what I mean? So anyway.
I'd like to know how you get like a sponsorship. So can you give me some tips about that?
Tips on sponsorship? Well, to be quite honest, I'm lucky in what I do. I'm very much in people's faces. They see me, and usually I get contacted by various number of sponsors, and I only take very few of them because I think a relationship is just as important as a sponsorship, if that makes sense. And so when I spoke to Area Games, that seemed to be something that just fit right away. We spoke, we understood each other, the concepts worked, and so I lent towards that, and it became a relationship more than just a sponsorship. And so for me, I turned down quite a number of sponsorships just because they're not the right fit. But again, as I said, how do I get sponsorships? I'm lucky. I'm just there in people's faces, and if they like what they see, they contact me. If they don't, well, then they never speak to me.
So you told us your favorite part of the game,
Yes.
the app. What is your favorite part of the real game of football?
Football. Good question. Obviously my job is to save balls and dive around. The more intricate the games become, the higher level I've gone to, and the older I've gotten. For me, it's conducting my defense, because what I've learned is the more that I can have an understanding with them of body language, of communication, that we can prevent shots from happening, let alone goals. So. I kind of feel like people see me and they always think that I'm yelling, but that's like 10% of what I'm doing. Most of the time I'm applauding them, I'm encouraging the guys in front of me, I'm talking to them, I'm giving them, little bits of eye contact so they understand. And I think that part of the game for me has become the most exciting because I've realized it's a chess match, and if I can dominate that and win that part of it, then I've saved myself a heck of a lot of work.
As an Evertonian, we'll end on a managerial note. Roberto Martinez is sort of like consummate professionalism with the media, can be really frustrating. How does that translate to you guys in the locker room? Does he ride you guys really hard in the locker room, and what's sort of the general feeling?
It's good. It's a good observation. He really is. And I think playing for him for 2 years now, the first year I was like you. I was thinking, this has got to wear off at some point because every human being has a breaking point, and he just doesn't seem to. He's very mild-mannered by nature, but more than that, I think he's very astute. He understands that yelling is only going to get him so far, and so, he might have a go at us at halftime, but it's not what you think. He's not throwing things, and he'll look you in the eye and he'll tell you straight, man to man, and it's not a shouting match. And I think if you can imagine, people as players, we respond to that because he doesn't yell all the time. So when he gets upset and he has a talking to with one of us, you really perk up and listen, because it's not like, oh, here's this guy yelling again. So I agree. I can imagine it can be frustrating, but for us as players, we appreciate that he's really, we may win or lose on Saturday, but come Monday morning, he comes in and he's bright and bubbly and smiling and saying good morning and asking how your family is, and that never changes. And I think when you're within a family like that at a football club, you can appreciate that, because some managers who I played for, up and down. If you win or lose, they don't speak to you for a week. You know what I mean? Let alone asking how your kids are. So. I like Roberto a lot, and most all the players are just ecstatic with him. Yeah.
All right, excellent.
I have sorry, interim question here for you, Tim.
Yes.
All the people here know you quite well and know your personality and everything. I was wondering, you are like, I don't want to say suffering, but you have Tourette syndrome, right? And I just wanted to know if, we have two big topics here today, right? One is sports, soccer in your case, and the other would be technology. I don't know if you could draw a connection to any of these tools. I don't know if any of these would help you deal with the issue.
Obviously, when I was 9 or 10 years old, I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, and so I've lived most of my life with it. And for me, sports was always my release. Whether it was outside playing soccer or basketball with my friends, whether my friends asked me over for a video game and we can play and interact. For me, interaction with my friends was always something that made me feel at peace. And when I was at peace, my TS was much more calm. And so for me, that was always a big part of my life, which thank God I was able to turn professional and do what I love. But certainly that was my connection. Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to thank Emma and Giannis from Goal 1 for coming out.
Thank you.
Go download the game. And Tim for being here as well, getting off the plane, coming. Have a great summer.
I will.
Thank you all for